If you have previously exported a SketchUp file into Revit, you may have noticed it kind of just gives you a big chunk of building. You can't double click inside of Revit like you can in SketchUp, and you can't edit anything in between, so you're kind of just stuck with what it is. And you may have tried importing each object on its own, but that's even more tedious, plus you have to line it up inside of Revit, so it's a big hassle, but we can finally change that. I'm going to show you a way to import your building or whatever you're trying to import into nice organized families and groups so you don't have to have that problem anymore. And I am going to be using a plugin called Speckle. You can check my latest video on it in the top right corner right now, and this is what I'm going to be utilizing in order to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is explode this. We are going to need nice organized groups and components. So let me just get this out from the beginning. If you don't have nice organized groups, this isn't going to work for you. So make sure you have nice file management, and then we'll go from there. So under Speckle, there's going to be a Projects and a Mapper tab. We're going to go into the Mapper tab, and you can close Selection, you can close Source. What we're going to be using is Mapping and Mapped Elements. So what we got to do is basically select everything we want to import, and then we're going to assign a family to it, or assign a category to it. So for example, I'm going to select this wall, or actually let's start with these columns down here. So as you can see, there's two options. I can either do component or definition, and for this I'm going to do component, and for mapper method I'm going to do new Revit family. So after that I can assign a category, and I'll just assign columns. Let's do structure columns, and then we can hit apply. So after that, we just repeat really, but there's going to be a few differences in a few of these options. So obviously, if you have a component and you do definition instead, you can still do direct shape or new Revit family. If new Revit family is an option, I will always do new Revit family, but sometimes you're only left with direct shape. And I'll go over that later as well, but this is going to be an outdoor light, so I'm just going to type light and apply it to lighting fixtures. And you may be wondering what the difference between a component and definition is. Definition is basically Revit families or Revit components. So if I select all of these and isolate them, you will see that even though I only clicked on one of these, because it was set to definition, it selected all of the similar ones in the model. However, with the column, since I did a singular component, it only selected that one. So what I'm going to do is show all again, and I'm actually going to delete the structural column and make this one a definition map instead. And I'm just going to label it all of the same. Hit apply. So now that I isolate all of that, it'll select all of them in the model. And you may be wondering, why is it called component in the first place if there's already components in our model? It's just to distinguish them between components and groups, because since this wall isn't a component, it will show me group, but since this structural beam is, it's going to show component. So basically definition are the new components. But after that, you can just do all of your groups, or it really doesn't matter what order you're going to do. And this is going to be a pretty tedious task, I'm going to be honest with you. But this is going to be worth it in the end, because your only other alternative to including families inside of Revit is importing them piece by piece. And I don't really want to do that. I don't know about you. Sometimes when you assign or map a group, it'll ask for a name as well. And I don't know, I'm just going to name it north wall, east wall. I don't know. You don't even need to assign a name, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show that. And once again, if you want to check your progress, you can select everything, hit isolate, but this may take a few minutes, so I'm just going to fast forward the video real quick so you don't have to see all of this, and then we'll move into Revit from there. Alrighty, I think we actually have everything selected. If I hit hide, it should hide the entire model. Perfect. So after we show it again, I clicked like 20 times there, but after we show it again, we can select our whole model and hit create new project, and I'm going to call it, what am I going to call it? Revit Family Import. Beautiful. Revit Family Import. Rolls right off the tongue. But after that, we can, with everything still selected, go under your project you just created and click send. And after all of that uploads, we can begin moving into Revit. And fourth wall break, don't look at my files, but now that we're inside of Revit, we can once again go into Speckle, hit Revit Connector, and find the file that we just created. None of those. Sometimes it doesn't load right away, but if I hit Revit, there I can import it from there. And make sure you're not sending, we want to receive this time. And as easy as that, you can just click receive, and it should load in just a second. And there it is. If we zoom in, it has this nice little animation. Whoa, I zoomed in a little too much. But it has this nice little animation to it. It shows everything one by one. Make sure you imported it properly. And as soon as it's done, which it is, it will give you all of these nice little groups, as you can see. And if you check over here, they're assigned into their retrospective or perspective categories as well. So stairs, floors, structural columns, windows, generic models. I couldn't find the roof one, so I just set it to a generic model, but of course you can assign these to whatever you want. And all of the colors should have been imported as well, as you can see. This is the shaded view. Maybe let's try realistic and see how that looks. Okay, that does not look as good. Maybe textures. Okay, maybe it just does colors. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do textures as well though, so subscribe if you want to stay tuned to that. But the nice thing about importing it this way, even though you do have to install the Speckle application, is that visibility graphics will be your friend in this. So let's say I wanted to hide floors. It'll automatically hide all of the floors. You wouldn't be able to do this with a big SketchUp import into Revit. It's just a big group. You either show it or you don't. But in this, you can hide individual elements. So if I wanted to hide windows as well, I could hide windows. And voila, windows are gone as well. I mean, not much of a building left, but as you can see, you have that option. So Speckle is a nice program, and I'm going to use it for all of my importing and exporting uses in the future. So if this helped you in your Revit endeavors and your Revit careers, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you want to stay tuned to more Revit tips and tricks. All right, have a good day and see ya.